Welcome back into another edition of Gallos TV. We are fortunate to have the Gallos keeper coach here with us today.
Yes,
welcome
sir.
in.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Cody, you were a member of the team last year. You've made the transition to coaching this year. Tell us a little bit about that decision-making process. How did you go from being behind the pipes yourself to deciding to help the next generation of Gallos players?
Well, it wasn't a personal decision that I was ready to make. It was kind of brought upon me. As a goalkeeper, goalkeepers do the most damage to their bodies, and when you're doing it for 20-something years, over that amount of time, when you're doing it day to day, wears and tears on your body. So at the end of last season, we had a outstanding season. Went to the doctor towards the end of the season and said, hey, what do I need to do to make sure I'm ready to go and keep going? And he said, kid, I don't know how you're still going. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He said, you've got so much stuff wrong with you, you're still going, and we don't know how. I was like, well, it's because I'm in here every day. And so it kind of was at that point when I realized, that's kind of not how a career should be going. You shouldn't be at the doctor every day to be able to practice and to be able to play. So it kind of came down to that, and I was like tired of doing that. And so I was like, you know what, I've always wanted to be a coach. My pops was a coach. My gramps was a coach. And all the coaches I've had in my career have just been basically second fathers to me. So, that's one thing that I always wanted to do. And Gallos decided to, give me a shout after I called it quits. And they said, hey, come be our goalkeeper coach. And I said, you know what, that's what I wanted to do my whole life. And why not? Let's go help some more kids achieve their goals. So
when you had to actually start putting together your plan for the season, how much are you relying on your experience as a keeper, and how much are you kind of researching some of the new techniques that are out there, making sure that you're educated on what this next generation of players likes to do?
Well, with that, over my playing career, I was taught by many of the top goalkeeper coaches, Matt, Drew. They know who they are. Some of the best guys out there that were coaching, and the stuff I learned from them helped my career get so far and get me to where I got when I was overseas, and then when I came back for college. So all that stuff that I've learned from all those coaches has really helped me be able to teach this next generation. But also, I have to put in my own research, because today's game is totally different than it was 10 years ago when I was being taught. So there's a lot of different things with turf, different types of turf now, that cause more injuries, that cause more damage, stuff like that goalkeepers now have to be more aware of than they were in the past. So the goalkeepers that we have, like some of the people have read before, we've got a 7-man keeper group here, and if one goes down, it's the next man up. And with that being said, it's the little things that we're trying to focus on this year and make a big difference in, because that's the stuff that hasn't been taught before. And so that's my goal, is to dig into those little things that's never been taught before, that will help the goalkeepers not only go from where they're at now, but obviously to the next level.
You mentioned the goalkeeper group that you have so far this season. Early on, team's still undefeated, 1-0-1, but Connor Pettigrew has been, I think, nothing short of spectacular. The only goal he's allowed has been off a set piece, and the way that kick was placed, I don't know if Tim Howard could have stopped that one.
Yeah.
But kind of assess 2 games into the season, the play of your keeper.
Absolutely. I mean, Seppi's been absolutely unreal these last 2 games. First of all, coming right out of the gate in game 1, I mean, he stepped up to the plate. Stepping into this club we had some big weight on our shoulders for this season, and he stepped in with no hesitation and got right to work. Great saves, and obviously the stuff that we work on in training, he makes it come to light in the games, and he makes all of us in training look good. So absolutely, Seppi's been playing unreal. Hopefully we can keep that up. But with an 8-man squad, I mean, Seppi's got to earn his role, and he's done that so far, and hopefully we can keep that up. But he's got 7 guys behind him that are hunting for his position right now. So I think that keeps his grind up, and that keeps him playing at his top, and hopefully whoever's on that starting 11 feels that same pressure each game.
One of the things I find so interesting is the communication that Connor offers from the keeper position. Is that something that you find maybe unique to him, or is that something that you guys as a position group really harp on and focus on?
Absolutely. So Seppi's communication it's kind of unique. The squad goes from a different style of communication from me the last 2-3 years, from me being loud and annoying, but I mean that's what it took. And but Seppi's he's not as loud, but he's more correct. So everything he says he's not necessarily loud, but when he's saying it, he's being correct in what he's saying. And that really helps our back line stay connected and make sure that we're getting balls out of the back, and making sure that nothing coming towards us is ever going to go into the back of the net. So absolutely, Seppi's communication's been unique, and if we can, obviously I would love for him to be louder. That's just my style, but each keeper has their own communication style, and so far it's been working, so we're going to ride with it.
You mentioned riding with it. Team taking a little ride west this weekend as the Gallos head to Fort Worth to take on the Vaqueros. Give us a little preview of what you guys are focusing on heading into that game. What was training like yesterday, coming off a tough fought draw in game 2?
Absolutely. So game 2, the Lubbock Matadors, that was a hard fought game. Obviously, we had to come back and dig that one out. The fellas earned that point. But with that being said, we had a lot of takeaways from that game that we had to build on in training yesterday, and I believe that the coaching staff beat that into them. And from what I saw at the end of training, the boys were buzzing, and they're ready to get into Fort Worth and get those 3 points for sure. But Fort Worth's definitely a unique team. Coach Marola over there, he's put a pretty good squad together with what they've got over there, and they're dangerous at times. So if you take them lightly, they'll put 2 past you, and you'll be in trouble. So it's no games light, and no games is going to be too tough. We're going to take it how we take it, play it how we play. We believe that we'll go in and get those 3 points with the system that we believe in. You
mentioned getting 3 points, and even in game 2, everybody ended up getting 1 point each for both teams, right? But there was a moment there in extra time with maybe 30 seconds left overall where Joe Conway had a chance to put a Conway curler in the back of the net there on a penalty kick. What was that moment like on the sideline, and kind of walk us through the final minute of the game from Wednesday?
Absolutely. It's those moments are always the hardest to take. Those 90th minute, chances to win the game. Joe's been here the last 3 years. He's been in that situation multiple times. We all know Joe and the type of guy that he is. It was kind of a decision that was made based off of his work ethic and training. So he put the work in, put the hours in, working on the PKs, and it comes down to one bad hit. Everyone has their bad day at work, and it just so happened to be yesterday. And it happens. We move on. Last season, you saw what happened after he missed one. He came back and made the next one. So hopefully we'll get that again. But that one always hurts. But in the end, we got a point out of it. Obviously, we'd love the 3 points, but we fought back for the 1 point, and we got what we needed out of it. So
again, we mentioned we're heading down the road to Fort Worth. It's the first road game of the season this year for the Gallos. What is Coach Ben Clarvis's approach to make sure that the team is just as focused and prepared on the road as they are when we play here at home?
Yeah, road games for this club have been tough the last 3 seasons. But with this new squad that we have, Clarvy's really focused on getting right at the other team right off the start. So I think going into Fort Worth, playing at Castleberry Stadium, it's a very narrow field, and we've kind of took that into consideration for training, and we've narrowed our pitch down in training to get ready for it. So I think the boys got really used to it yesterday, and I think they'll be ready for that tomorrow. So,
as a coach, I think when I was talking to Joe Conway in our episode earlier this week, one of the things that's so tough is your players get here May 1st. You guys started training, I think, May 9th, and then the first game was May 19th. So how do you guys, as a staff, build that camaraderie, build that locker room presence with these guys when, they don't get to see each other for very long before the season starts?
Absolutely. It's very hard for the NPSL seasons because of that, especially with us pulling in a bunch of university kids, so that you have different levels of the colleges that get out at different times. So we have our JUCO and D3 players coming in earlier than our Division II, Division I players, obviously. And it's no knock to the levels. It's just because of the schools they're at, the size of the schools, they get out later based on their semester and their finals. And so, but with that being said, we'll start our first couple sessions with maybe just a handful of guys, and then you have our next couple sessions that we've got our full squad out there. And so, but once I think those first couple sessions, we really want to focus on the guys that are there to really make sure that they are all intertwined with each other and ready to go together. And then once the rest of the guys come in, it's all we really focus on is making sure everyone's on the right page as soon as we can. Those first couple sessions with everyone there, it's really focusing on tactical play, getting our system down, make sure everyone understands the system, stuff like that. And then obviously keeper-wise, we had 3 or 4 to start with, and now we've got all 8. And so it's good to have the first 3 or 4 to start with to see what we're working with, and then the rest of them came in, and now I know that our keeper squad is strong enough to take on this season.
A lot of people don't realize how big the Gallos practice squad is. There's 30 or 40 guys sometimes that are out there at practice, and then for the games, you guys are taking 18 position players and 2 keepers, right? So just talk about how hard it is to actually, play every game, or how hard is it to make that game day roster, say like Joe Conway does, where he's out there every single week.
Yep.
What kind of testament is that to his talent and those other guys who make it every single week?
Well, with that big of a roster or squad, shall you say, that many guys, it really makes trainings tough. You see real game-like trainings. It's you see full-on tackles, you see banter back and forth like no other. But at the end of the day, everyone's working for one spot in that 18. And if they aren't there, they come in the next week and they just work even harder. And that really brings up the level here at the Gallos now. With this being not new, but a bigger squad is something newer to us, and so it really helps the coaches pick our 18, because we know that everyone who's going to be in that 18 has been grinding their butts off that whole week to fight for that spot in that 18 out of the 30-something odd guys. And guys like Joe and the ones that are in the roster every week, it is a testament to how hard they're working throughout the week, because they actually are. They're in training, going full on, making those tackles, giving that banter to help make their teammates a bit more upset to get them buzzing a little bit harder, and it works, and that's why our squad is so strong.
Now, let me make sure I get this right. I think it's B. Clarv is how you said, or Coach Clarvey.
Yeah.
Clarvey has a specific style, that your teams play. It's very aggressive, real ball dominant. What is it about his style that maybe makes the job of a keeper a little bit easier than some of the other teams in the league?
Oh, yeah. Especially me playing here the last 2 years, I loved it because it was so easy because of his system. But absolutely, now as a coach, it's so fun to watch because you've got guys out there that just love to have the ball at their feet. Playing football, it's one thing to be out there and just doing your role. It's another thing to have the ball at your feet all the time and love possession of the ball. And that's one thing that Clarvey and Patty and Janos have really beat into the guys, and everyone's starting to get on the same page that you got to love the possession of the ball if you want to win the game. If you don't love keeping the ball, then you're not going to win the game. And I think the boys have really dug into it, and they really believe in it. And you can tell from the last 2 games that keeping the ball is one thing that we're really trying to work on, and that's the system we're trying to play.
All right, I'm going to get you out of here on this one. A little bit of a fun question. I don't know if you have a sister or not, but let's say you had a legal dating age sister. Which one of your keepers would you be least likely to let date your sister, and which one are you most likely to let take your sister out on a date?
Oh, whew, that's a hard one. Well, I will say one of our guys, they were in the same graduation class at Midlothian, so I'm gonna, because I do have a sister, not gonna give out age or name or anything like that, but so one of them's out of the picture because that's I can't let that happen, but golly, I'd say probably Jakob would be least likely. Least likely, okay. Jakob.
Any specific reason why?
Because he looks a lot like her ex.
Okay.
And it's just
Sideshow Bob?
Huh?
Was it Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons?
No. But it was they look pretty close. And, it's one thing for me that's not that I wouldn't do.